Hello? Hello. As promised, I'm back today with a tutorial using the Bad Habit Athena palette that you can find on shophush.com. If you guys watched my last haul, you would have seen me haul this along with the Retro Love palette. Although they don't ship to Canada, I was able to swindle my way into getting my paws on these because I have a PO box in the US. So this one here is the Athena palette. It's supposed to dupe the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. I don't own that one because it's real expensive. This one's $14 US, which equals to like 18 something Canadian. It's a great palette for the price. It comes with 8 mattes, 6 shimmers, 3 duochromes, and 1 glitter shade. I was initially gonna play around with this warm section right here, but I figured that's really cliche, so I turned out this little purple number. I played around with this purple here, this pink duochrome, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think it's really pretty. I'll give you my full thoughts on the palette in the tutorial, but if I had to say anything about it now, I think that this is a great palette. Do I think it's the greatest palette ever? Absolutely not, but I do think it's a really good palette for the price, and it's a really good palette for every day. I don't think that I would necessarily get too crazy with this palette and create like super artistic gradient looks, because these shadows, especially the matte ones here, compete with each other. I tried to play around with this like warm section here and create a bit of a gradient look, and it turned into a muddy mess. If you want to play around with one of the mattes and one of the duochromes and one of the shimmers and maybe the glitter, I think you can create a beautiful look that way. But if you wanted to layer the mattes one on top of the other and get real artistic with it, I wouldn't advise that. Like, I've tried it and I failed. What I happen to succeed with is just working with one of each category, if that makes sense, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I mean, it's 14 bucks and it comes with a huge mirror, so I don't feel too bad about that. I have other eyeshadows that I use for the more dramatic, artistic looks. This is just a good palette for every day, and who says we can't have great everyday palettes anymore? Not everything has to be like super dramatic and artistic, you know? She says as she's wearing a half cut crease. Anyway, I think that's all that I have to say for now. If you guys like this look and you want me to create more looks using the Athena palette, please give this video a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below if you picked this up, what you think of it. I'm definitely gonna create more looks with this. I have big plans for this palette, and I might try the Retro Love palette out on camera as well, even though that one was a major fail for me. I'm determined to make it work. I'm being really stubborn with it, and I need to make it work. I don't know why. I just really want to, because I got excited about these Bad Habit palettes, and I have a few that are sitting in my cart right now that I'm definitely gonna order and do looks with. I like a steal, you know? And this one is just gorgeous. So anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get into this. Okay, so first I'm gonna prime my eyelids with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Fair Neutral, and I'm gonna blend this out with a micro beauty blender, which I haven't used in so long, and I'm asking myself, why have I neglected this little thing for so long? Because it's perfect for blending out primer and concealer. I'm not gonna set that, I'm gonna leave it as is, because I find these eyeshadows adhere to the concealer so much better, and they just look a lot more vibrant that way. So I'm gonna start out with the shade Justice, and I'm using a Sigma E40 brush, and I'm going to apply that to the crease of my eye and sort of blow it out from one end to the other. This shade takes a little bit of building up, and it doesn't work well if you're blending it into another matte from this palette. I find that it gets lost, so I had to make the purple pretty much the star of the show. It takes a little bit of work to build it up, but once it is built up, it looks really nice. Next, with a Morphe M503, I'm dipping into Clever, and I'm applying that on the outer V of my eye. And I'm using patting motions. I'm not swiping, I'm just kind of dabbing it, and I find that with some of these mattes, dabbing is the way to go. Once you start getting real intense and like trying to blend back and forth, you sort of lose that pigmentation, and that's where you can get a bit of muddiness. So I'm just patting, dabbing, building it up. And then with a Morphe M506, I'm dipping into Wisdom, which is one of the shimmer shades, and I'm applying that over top of Clever and sort of blending it forward towards the middle of my eye. This eyeshadow is like super easy to work with. Most of the shimmers in this palette are flawless. It's just the mattes that give me a little bit of trouble. Again, I'm doing dabbing, but I'm also sort of like swiping the brush and dragging it along and that seems to work out pretty good. So once I feel like that shade is nice and packed on, I'm going back in with whatever's left on my Morphe 503 that I used for Clever, and I'm just sort of deepening up the crease a little bit. I'm using really light pressure and just doing circular motions. I find that works best, and I'm doing this to get rid of any harsh edges that I may have. Then I'm gonna dip into the shade Purity, which looks like it's sort of like a creamy shade, but it actually applies a bit peachy to the skin, as you can see right here. Like, that doesn't look the same way that it did in the pan. And I'm doing this with either a MAC 217 or a Morphe M433. It's one of those two. I'm just tapping it below my brow to sort of further blend out my crease towards my brow. Then I'm taking that same M503 brush, and I think I dipped it back into the purple, and I'm sort of further blending that up towards my brow, because that's just what I do. We're here to blend until we can't anymore. Now I'm going to do a half cut crease. I'm starting at the inner corner of my eye and I'm going towards the middle, and I'm using a MAC 242 brush and that same Tarte Shape Tape concealer. I find it such a challenge when I cut my crease on camera to stay in frame and stay in focus. When I'm not filming, I'm like 2 millimeters away from my mirror, tilting my head back, tilting it to the side. I look like a crazy person. Anyway, then I clean off my MAC 242 and I dip back into Purity, and I'm gonna pack that over the concealer where I've cut my crease and building it up. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that purples and maroons go really well with light peachy shades. Definitely not a color combination that I've tried on myself before, so I was pleasantly surprised with how this looked. And then I'm going back in with Wisdom, and I'm gonna blend out that cut crease a little bit just so that it has like a nice natural gradient from that peachy shade to maroon. You know the drill. After cleaning off my Morphe M506, I'm dipping back into that Purple Justice shade, and I'm just gonna build up right above my crease towards my brow. I kind of wanted it to look a little bit more dramatic, and I wanted to pull it further towards my nose, so that's what I'm doing here. And I'm using a really light touch and doing circular strokes. And then I think this is a Sigma F70. I'm going back in with Purity, and I'm applying it to my brow bone, just sort of cleaning up the area. And then with a Costco brand makeup wipe, which by the way is the greatest makeup wipe ever. The ones from Kirkland, unreal. I'm cleaning up the fallout from underneath my eye, and I'm also dragging it along the side of my eye, and that kind of helps to further define the eye look. But then I'm also going in with my little micro beauty blender and blending out that harsh line because I don't want it to look really crisp. I do want it to sort of look like it's nice and soft. For eyeliner today, I chanced it and I used a liquid lipstick by Colored Raine in the shade Rain Fever. Didn't irritate me at all, but it did stain. So if you don't want to stain your eyes, I would highly recommend just using a purple pencil or a purple shadow. I didn't do a wing for this. I actually didn't even really do like a full liner. I just dragged it from the inner portion of my eye to about 3/4 of the way, and then I just sort of blended out the edge of it. I basically just wanted my purple liner to act as a base for this next shade. This is the shade Epic, and it's a duochrome. It's kind of like a pink purple, and it's really pretty. So what I'm doing is I'm packing it in the center of my eye over top of the purple eyeliner, and together these look unreal. Now I'm basically just touching everything up. So I'm going over my eyeshadow, I'm refilling in a portion of my brow, I'm touching up that inner corner shade, making everything look nice and seamless. And now I'm curling my lashes with an eyelash curler that came for free in my Shop Hush order. Tell me why a $4 eyelash curler is better than the ones that cost me $20 to $30. Now I'm going in with a little bit of mascara, and this is the Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect Mascara. This mascara is great. The wand is amazing. The formula is just perfect. After applying my mascara, I'm just going to apply some clear gel to my eyebrow. And then I'm also going in and doing a little cleanup of the brows, tweezing some hairs that don't belong. And for false lashes today, I'm using the Koko lashes in the style Risqué. These are gorgeous. I trimmed off a little bit of the front and a little bit of the end so that they fit my eye shape a little bit better. Moving along to my face makeup, I'm starting out by priming my face using the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer. Haven't made up my mind on this primer yet. I've been using it every day for work, but I don't know, I can't tell if I like it yet. I know that I don't dislike it, but I don't know if it's changed my makeup or if it's just the foundation that I'm using. And speaking of foundation, I'm using the Becca 24-Hour Ultimate Coverage Foundation. This is in the shade Buff. To apply it, I'm using a Sonia Kashuk Flat Top Kabuki brush. Because this foundation is full coverage, I like to work in sections, and I like to use a more densely packed brush. I find that these types of brushes work better for thicker foundation formulas. Like, this is not a lightweight formula, it's a little bit thicker, which I'm fine with because it actually blends quite naturally and it feels really light on the skin. Applying my foundation to my forehead using a pointed foundation brush by Real Techniques. I'm doing this because I applied my eyebrows first and I kind of have to work around them and I need a more precise brush. I do not like doing my eyebrows first and then my foundation. I feel that they always turn out looking like shit because I gotta like work the foundation around them. It doesn't get blended right up to the hairs. It looks all cakey in that area. In the future, I think what I'm gonna do is do my eyeshadow, then my foundation, then my eyebrows if I'm working with messy eyeshadows that have a lot of fallout. I probably could have just gotten away with doing my foundation first for this look because as you saw there wasn't a ton of fallout, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. So anyway, moving on to concealer, I'm using the same Tarte Shape Tape in Fair Neutral and I'm using my little micro beauty blender again to blend this out. I've just rediscovered my love for this little thing. It gets in all the little nooks and crannies, which I highly appreciate. Using a Pro Beauty Blender, I'm just gonna set my face with the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder, setting around my mouth, my chin, and a little bit on my forehead. And in comes Chris trying to distract me while I'm filming. I was showing him my work and the detail of my eyes and asking him to rate me out of 10. I was feeling a little bit down because I didn't know how this would translate on camera, so I needed my personal hype man there. Now I'm just warming up my face using a combination of the Annabelle Perfect Bronzer in the shade Sunkissed and the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the shade Bronzer. And to do this, I'm using a Sigma F35, which is a smaller brush, but I've kind of been liking using smaller fluffy brushes like this to bronze my face. They're a little bit more precise, they're not as messy, and they fit perfectly in the temple area. And I find that when I use a bigger brush for this, I end up kind of screwing up the tails of my brows. I'm also dragging my bronzer along my neck and my jawline to sort of slim me out because I really need it right now. For blush today, I'm using this bright pink. This is called Lace by the Balm. It's one of their Instain blushes, which I'm pretty sure they've discontinued. I looked online and it doesn't look like they sell them anymore, at least not on their website. So you could use any hot pink blush. You could use any blush you want really, but I decided to use more of a hot pink because I feel like it tied in with the eyes and the lip that I'm gonna do. I think e.l.f. makes a blush just like this. It's like a hot pink shade. If I think of the name, I'll put it in the description box below. To diffuse my blush and make it look not so intense, I'm just taking a damp Eco Tools sponge and going over the edges. And then I'm taking my Cover FX Mineral Powder Foundation in the shade N20 with an e.l.f. small tapered brush. And I'm applying it right up next to my nose and underneath my eyes and over that blush a little bit. This just brightens up the area. It makes my nose appear a little bit smaller, and it's sort of taming that blush. And then for a little bit more precision, I'm taking my Sigma E60 with that same powder foundation and just pressing it right up against my nose because I normally bronze my nose and sometimes it gets a little out of hand. So going back in with a lighter powder foundation sort of just cleans up the nose a bit. For highlighter today, I'm using the Makeup Revolution by Soph highlighter palette, and I'm going in with this pinky shade. I don't normally use colored highlighters, but this one is so subtle and so pretty, and it just, again, goes with the eye and the blush that I was using. So I'm applying that to my cheekbones, and I'm doing that using a BH Cosmetics number 4 brush. I'm not using very much, just enough for a subtle glow. I'm not into the whole like blinding highlight trend. I just like a bit more of a subtle highlight, and this one's perfect for that. And then for my nose highlight, I'm dipping into this sort of champagne shade, and I'm running it along the bridge of my nose as well as on the tip of my nose using a Morphe M321. And then I'm just kind of blending that out with my finger, and I'm also applying it to my Cupid's bow. Now I'm smoking out my bottom lash line. I'm only smoking it out from the outer edge to the middle. I don't want to go all the way to the inner corner. I kind of just want a bit of a cat eye look. I use the same shades that are on my top lid, so I think I went in with a little bit of Justice, a little bit of Clever, and a little bit of Wisdom, and I'm using that same Morphe M506 brush. Then I'm applying a bit of mascara to my baby lashes, same mascara I used on my top lashes. And now I'm moving on to my lips. So I'm gonna start by lining my lips using the ColourPop Lippie pencil in the shade Brills. This is a really beautiful, cool toned hot pink. It's one of my favorite shades that they make. I filled in my lip just halfway with that shade. I'm cleaning up the perimeter of my lip with a little bit of concealer, and then I'm gonna fill in the inner part of my lip with Westie by ColourPop, which is another lippy pencil, which I think they discontinued, which is unfortunate because this is a really beautiful pink. I think these two shades together look just gorgeous. And to finish off my look, I'm taking my e.l.f. lip plumping gloss in the shade Sparkling Rosé, and I'm applying that just to the center of my lip. These lip glosses are amazing. They're a few bucks. They're minty and they tingle a little bit, but they're not super harsh. If you don't like that minty scent though, you're not gonna like these. I really, really do. Then I'm just touching up my eyeshadow a little more, and that completes the end of this look. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you wanna see more looks using this palette. Everything that I use will be listed in the description box below as per usual. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and staying subscribed, and I'll see you in my next one. Okay, love you, bye.